Oh, I didn't mean to stop it so abruptly then. I'll do my usual fade out. There we go. So there we go. That was Martin Guy, What Like. So you asked for some, pro streamer. So professional. So fucking professional. But I'm a creep. I'm a weirdo. I liked it, but I think I understand what the issue is. The track's lacking an identity. It sounds great, like all of your parts are there. The sounds are stylistic to that genre of hard house. I liked the arrangement. Something missing, yes. I agree. So it just depends what that something is. It could be something that one of us suggest. Yeah, it didn't catch your attention. Yeah. So one of the things that I think will help this is to give it more of an identity. So at the moment, you've got this vocal in there, and this vocal is what. So that usually fits in a track that is probably more driving, and that what will be more as like a mantra that will be in the background, or like or it'll be like in a 16-bar section at some point near the beginning and a 16-part section somewhere near the end. Maybe then do something as well with it in the breakdown. So it's a bit flat at the moment, and I would hazard a guess that that's because you haven't moved the bass line at all. Your bass line runs on the root note for the entirety of the track, and that can be good for some things. So this is where we're getting into the territory of what I mean by it doesn't have an identity, because you've got these leads, these chords, and they are over 8 bars, I think. Their progression is over 8 bars. That shows melody, so it's melodic. So when you've got a bass line that kind of just runs on the root note all the way through, that would work really well for a track that was more relentless forward motion, very pounding, very energetic, techno-y, that kind of thing. So this is where you're running into the issue of it not having an identity, because we're kind of split in two directions. We've got part of it wanting to be melodic and have a progression, and then the other part isn't playing ball with it. It's staying where it is. It's static. It's staying on that root note. So I would say go back into it and change make sure that the bass progression mirrors the changes in the lead chords. I'll show you what I mean. Go back to it. Okay, so you do that here. Okay, ignore me. I didn't hear that. I was listening to the bit towards the end. See here, you've gone back to doing it flat again. I don't think it works. Yeah, I don't think it works. I think you should keep it. Yeah, I think you should keep doing that. So that's cool. Yeah, you've made it go with it there. So the other thing that I would say, hi, have we had a raid? Kerridge, thank you. Hi, everyone act normal, please. Shh. We're doing the demo drop right now. Hello, everybody. I hope you had a good stream. Hi, Cyber Steve. Hi. So the other thing I would say then, if we've got a bit of an issue with it having an identity, maybe keep what. But add another melody line to it. So something that is like a counter melody, something that will be following the progression of that melody line. Someone else said in the chat about a 303 or an acid. So a little bee's knees, he said, clone the lead and add a different plug in. Clone, I'd say clone the lead. Yeah, you could clone the lead and maybe octave it, something like that. Or you could just have a similar sound and have a counter melody. Yeah, everything should always have a 303 at all times. Exactly. But yeah, both of those were very good suggestions. Awesome. Yeah, so a 303 will wake it up later on in the track. Definitely. And it probably would stop it from feeling, because I think you can make this work, but number one, keep that bass progression in later on, so don't go back down to a flat. Maybe go down to a flat when you're coming out in the outro, just before the bass comes away, before the DJ outro. But certainly when you've got those stabs, those lead stabs, those chords really need you to move that bass line with it, because it's kind of resolving and moving along with it. So it needs to be more melodic in that sense. And that will just literally be through changing that bass line. But a 303 would wake it up. I don't think it needs much else. I think it's there. I think this is the problem, isn't it? When you go, oh, I like it, but it's something about it. I think this is one of your best that you've done. It sounds really well balanced. The mix down's great. You've not put nothing sticking out. I think there was one thing that stuck out, the snare roll a little bit, but I think that is probably subjective. But it's, do you know what it probably is? You've not mixed it down really yet. Yeah, you have. I like it. I mean, they call it the rough mix, don't they? Me and Josh were talking about this at the weekend. It sounds great the way it is. By all means, obviously, if you need to, just do another mix down if this was a quick one. Sometimes, though, don't you find that you can do a mix, when you're doing a mix down without really thinking about it, it can usually be the best version. Yeah, this I thought the snare came out of nowhere for me a little bit. Maybe I actually think the snare sound itself is all right. It just either needs a little bit of tapering in, shaping, or just bringing it down in volume ever so slightly. All my mixes are rough, DJ and production. Yeah, it's an aesthetic. So yeah, keep up the good work, mate. Mixdown is the hardest part for me, says Luke. Really? I love the mixdown process. My hardest bit is probably arrangement. And when I'm saying arrangement, it is specifically the parts of coming out of the breakdown into the main drop. That's always like, every time I start doing that, I'm like, this is just going to fucking piss me off now. And then I'll get it and it'll be fine. And then also the other part is the getting into the breakdown as well. Because sometimes I just feel like I'm being so obvious. Oh yeah, I'll just put a fucking filter transition on it and, go into a breaks fucking loop or whatever. But which it works. But yeah, and if I want to do something like really spectacular to build up tension and build up, energy before the drop, I get all these ideas, and then when you start putting them in, they're like, oh, that sounds like shit. But then you end up getting it sounding really good. And sometimes that you just have to take yourself away from it for a bit and stop overthinking it. Hello to Techie Steph. Call and response is where I struggle. Yeah. So yeah, deciding on the right sounds, getting those sounds to work with each other. Definitely. Yeah. So when you say call and response, I'd call it getting all my stabs in. So if I'm putting like little stabs, like Hoover noises, one shots, it can be quite difficult, can't it, to get them all to sound glued and sound like one coherent piece instead of like loads of random things that you've just stuck onto the track. Yeah. Yeah, call and response makes a tune work though when it's right. Definitely. You can make stuff work though by sometimes using the same thing. You know, if you've used a Hoover, then clone it and then reverse it. Time stretch it. Put it through a granulizer. Pitch it up. Take the formant out. Do a reverse reverb version of it. You know, those sometimes using the same thing but in a different way makes it easier for things to fit. Timing vocals I find the hardest. I love that. I love sitting there for sometimes hours, like very, very fine tuning, getting all my vocals to kind of sit in the pocket of the track. And it's a bit easier when you use Ableton because of the yeah, till 3 a.m. But I like doing that. I know most people fucking hate it, but I really like it. But I think that's an ADHD thing. It's like a hyper focus. I just like get so zoned into it, and that's why I like working with audio over MIDI, because I can be more. I feel like I can not be more tangible with it, because you can do a lot more with MIDI, like in terms of the sound design and, you know, but when you're ready to like bank an idea, FL is a bit cack for it. It's got better. It depends what you're after, because with our kind of music, it's quite forgiving. So chopping up a vocal and then like sliding it around. And now we've got the tapers. We've got like the little audio tapers, which we never used to have before. It does make the job a bit easier, because I find it more faffy doing it with Ableton. And that's purely because I'm just so used to doing it the longer, harder way in FL. Yeah, it'll constantly tweak. Sometimes you just have to leave the room and then come back again and then listen again. The problem with that FL is if you don't make each piece of sample unique, and then you move one of them, like time stretching it, like stretching it out one way or the other, it moves all of them. And then you have to Control and Z again. So I've been caught out so many times doing it that way. But I kind of secretly love it because I hate myself. I love wasting my own time. Because then guess what? I don't have to bother about the fucking stupid breakdown and then the drop, because I'm busy anyway. I'm busy doing the vocal right now. Thanks. Martin, thank you so much for letting us listen to your tune. And yeah, I hope that we've been helpful, but you're doing everything right. You're doing everything right. The fact that it sounds weird to you or feels like there's something missing, it's not a bad thing. It means that you're making something different. So good. I'm really, really glad. Next up, we've got one of my students, DJ Sol, and she's made a track called Vengeance. She's actually made this. I'm so proud of her. Okay, so that is DJ Soul and Vengeance. Can I just say I'm so proud of you? I'm so proud of you. This has got a lot of potential. Now, bearing in mind, Soul has not been producing for very long. So these are what I call not bridge tracks. They are bridge tracks, but not in a DJ way. They're bridge tracks for a producer where we make these kinds of tunes because they're a level up tune. They're like a tune that years later, when you look back at your production portfolio, if you will, you know, when you just have certain tracks that you've made where you're proud of them because they got you to where you are now. Do you know what I mean? Hi, Torian. So there's certain tracks that I've made that I remember doing it when I did it at the time, thinking, fucking hell, I can't believe I made that. And then you'll make another one like it, you know, once you've learned a few more things. So to me, this is one of those tunes. And all those tracks that you think, what the fuck was I doing? Yes! Day 5 of a bender. And you just headbutted the keyboard and saved it as whatever it came up as. Or was that just me? I remember one track that I made, I just called it No! Full stop. And then I went to bed. I remember once I'd been up in the studio for too long, right? I was listening through to my track, and I'm not joking. This actually happened. I fell asleep at the studio desk, and I headbutted. I must have turned it off, right? I headbutted the keyboard. And anyone that makes music knows that the space bar stops and starts the transport. It's the transport button or whatever. And my head touched the space bar, and then all the noise just like I was like, I'm going to bed now. It didn't pause it. It turned it back on. I must have stopped it. And then my head just went lower and lower and lower and lower. Hit the fucking keyboard. And then I just woke up to my own shit song. Yeah. So these are the moments. These are the, yeah, anyone that produces, like, if you know, you know. Oh, those were the days. But yeah, I think this is one of those tracks for you, Sol. So I have a couple. There was one thing that stuck out to me that you'll want to change on the, when you have like the and then it changes after the main breakdown. You didn't change the first bar of your bass line progression. So let's go back to it and I'll show you what I mean. I think it's this next bit. Now it's fine. See how your offbeat bass line goes to the da, but at the first one it doesn't. So that first one, that bass note does not go up to reach that new top note on the melody, but then it does it on the second bar. So for whatever reason, I'm guessing that your bass line is in a group of 4 bars, the MIDI pattern. So the first one That one is not right. It needs to go up to the top one. There you go. So, but then it goes up to the... I mean, if it was intentional, you could have chose a better lower note for it. But I don't think it was... Was it intentional? It doesn't go. Because we've got duh and duh, 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 duh. So duh is the bass note. And duh is your melody line. So duh, duh. Those are dissonant. So they're not going to work with each other. Well, they can, but for this style of music, it's not working. So listen again. Because you're missing out on that big moment of the euphoria of that bass line change. Because when it does come in, then you get it. It's it. So you want that uplift. You want that uplift. So change that. I would definitely... I'm not even saying that isn't like a subjective thing. That just sounds wrong. So definitely change that. I think then all it just needs is a few effects. A few more effects. And the effects you do have need blending in a little bit. That's the only thing that is wrong with it. Like... And then when I'm saying wrong, I'm meaning like music theory in terms of the context of the rest of the song wrong. It would be that would stop me from wanting to sign it or any other label or even a DJ wanting to play it because they'd be like, oh, that didn't really work. It's a what's the word for it? Wait, what's the word for it? When you've not been doing it for it's a rookie mistake kind of thing. So if you fixed it, then it would make the rest of the track sound like believable. Because it is, inexperienced, yeah. But it only did it that once. So you obviously knew because when you did change it, it sounded fucking epic. So yeah. And then the effects needed that you do have need blending in a little bit more. I think they were slightly too high, which is a really normal thing. It's this whoosh, that whoosh sound that you've got. It's too high. Now I know why you've done that, because you want to hear it. But the thing is with effects, you want them to really be sat really far back, maybe even like minus 18 dB, depending on how you've mixed your track down, because they just kind of like, they're just happening in the background, kind of like sub as well. You want to feel it more than you hear it. The effects that you're putting in, they don't really need to be that loud. But when you put them in, we usually put in effects near the end of the track being made and once it's like been arranged and finished. And because we're listening to it and we want to hear it, we usually leave them far too loud in the mix. So just tailor it back a little bit and maybe add a little bit of sidechain to them. EQ out those mids because there's a bit of a resonant frequency on the whoosh, on that whoosh that is it's like it's picking my ear up too much. So that's what I would do. Yeah, and EQ out some of the lower frequencies. Just bring it down in the mix a little bit. JLF says it really well there. You need to miss them when they're taken out and not notice them when they're there. There you go. Yeah, I always sidechain my rises and stuff because we are creating room for other things in there. And they don't need to be in all the time because otherwise they can feel like they're just like kind of plastered onto the track. Whereas if we've got it sidechained, you get the feel of it. And also it keeps it moving, it keeps it bouncy. But again, these are all really, every single one of us has been through what you're going through now, and I'm so excited for you. The riff was amazing. I loved it. I liked the vocal as well. And the kick and bass relationship was perfect. If you use LFO Tool or Shaperbox, you can just take out the clashing frequencies if you don't want the bounce. Can you? How? You mean like more like a dynamic EQ? You want the bounce? Yeah, I want the bounce too. I'm like, when I do my side chaining, I have it on quite abruptly. It depends on the style though. It's a little button on the right to the LFO tool. What does it do? What does it do? I want to know what it does. I don't like pressing stuff if I don't know what it does. It is like a dynamic EQ. Cool. Yeah, if it's a dynamic EQ, that would work as well. Cool. Yeah, and yeah, well done. That's awesome, Luke. I'll have to look into that. I'm not really using LFO Tool anymore. I don't like the interface as much as I like Shaperbox, but that's cool. Yeah, you could also operate on a filter. That's a good good point as well. Actually, that is a really good point. Why don't I do that more often? Because it can give a bit more of a natural effect then, especially like, you know, if you do like groovy stuff or funky house or that kind of stuff, funky music. Did someone ask me a question? And I did see it, but I was in the middle of saying something ridiculous. Snapping Turtle says, what is the best DAW or music production software for a complete beginner to start on? I got music in my head, random patterns and synth all the time. Need to try an outlet. I'm a quick learner. I hyper focus on things I like. Sorry if it's not the time to ask. Of course it's the time to ask. There is no best DAW, but there are lots of different ones that you could try. So if you want to try FL Studio, you could just go to imageline.com. I'll put it in the chat. And you can try out FL Studio for free. The only thing you're not able to do is save the project, but you can try out all of Excel. Excel is the best DAW. Is that what you were saying, Martin? So you won't be able to save the project. Or of course there's Ableton. Ableton is amazing as well. It's got a lot of tutorials for it, the same as FL Studio does. Ableton smells, as JLF. I think Ableton, like, it depends on you and your brain and how, like, they're all going to be very confusing in the beginning, but you have to push through that. You have to make sure that you remember it's not going to be that difficult. It's not going to be that difficult forever. Sol said, I threw my mouse across the room. I couldn't get to grips with Ableton. Yeah. Not a real mouse, a computer mouse. Yeah. Mate, we've all been there. Like, I can now, it's so nice to be able to sit and make a tune and not get angry anymore. But for many years, I used to get very angry at myself. And that's why I see it as being a parallel journey of your own self-belief and working through your own feelings that you can't do this and giving up, because you can. You just have to sit there and work through it. So don't try and jump in at the deep end with it, Snapping Turtle, because it will overwhelm you. Don't expect yourself. This isn't like a normal ADHD thing. You know, like how you can be good at stuff straight away, right? We all know what that one's like. It's ace, isn't it? Want to try Crazy Golf? Do you want to try this new computer game? I'm mint at it already. That won't be, it might be, but the chances are it probably won't be like that when you're learning a DAW. And that's because the terminology will be weird. If you already use, say like if you're already a graphic designer, or you are you're in film editing, or you do something like that, then you will find the transition, or even if you use things like Blender, stuff like that, you or make computer games and stuff, you will find it. A web designer, yeah, okay, maybe then, because you might pick it up quicker than someone who, say, isn't necessarily good on a computer, but also might not understand like the layout of where stuff usually would be found. And even then, the terminology is not what you'd think it would be. And even then, the terminology contradicts itself, which you'll find many times, depending on the plugin, if it's a third-party plugin, if it's one from whatever company. They'll say the same things for things and it will mean a different thing. Like attack on a compressor is different to attack on a ADSR. ADSR. There's loads of like things that you'll just not understand in the beginning. So go into it slowly. Or not. I might be wrong. You might just be minting it straight away. But I do think it can be easier if you're already used to using programs for creative things in different avenues. But try Ableton. Also, you could try the Studio One. You could even just try GarageBand to begin with, or Logic if you've got a Mac. It helps being a DJ first. Yes, that could be helpful too. Definitely. You're welcome. EJ, yeah. Do you know how much Dance EJ helped though? Like it did, didn't it? Dance EJ helps to, like, when I remember using it as a teenager, and it helped me to understand what the sounds were in tunes, because when you just listen to a song, you don't really break it apart in your mind, do you? It's just noises, they're just happening. And I remember when I went to do a BTEC National Diploma in Music Technology in the early 2000s, and one of our very first lessons, they asked us to get a pad and a pen and write down, listen to a dance track and name all of the sounds that you could hear, all the different parts that you could hear in a track. I could only manage like 2 or 3 things. I heard some drums and some singing and something else. I couldn't say, and I was already a well-known DJ at this point. I was like, what? How do I? You have to train your learning. You have to train your ears to hear in a different way. Like you have to be able to separate all of these different things. So it took me a long time. Yeah, Zarek, you will eventually, but it really helps then to become, when you're becoming a music producer, because then I was like, when I look in packs for like one shot drum percussion, and it would be like, I'll be like, why is there all of these different kinds of hi-hats? I don't need all of these. Surely I could just use one. Like, well, what's the difference between a ride and a closed hi-hat? Like, shut up. And then it's like, okay, so you've got an open hi-hat, a closed hi-hat, a ride, snares, clicks, tambourine, like all of these different sounds that go into percussion on its own. Like you don't ever hit cowbell. Yep. Claps. What kind of claps? And then layering your clap, so it's not just one fucking clap. You've probably got 2 or 3, and one of them's saturated. one of them has been changed that you only get like the gate of it, and one's just the attack of it, and then one's for the body. And that's just one percussive sound out of like 8 or 9 that you're going to have in your track. So yeah, it's a lot to separate in your mind when you're listening to all of these different things, and then you don't want it to sound like they're all different things. You want then after doing that, you want it all to sound like one coherent piece. So yeah, it's you forget. I think. Well, I don't know if you forget completely, but when you have someone who's just starting to learn music production around you, I mean, it's different for me because I teach it, so I'm more aware of how difficult it can be in the beginning, because it does remind me not to assume that you would know stuff, because it is very, very, very in-depth. But then it doesn't need to be as well. You know, I just overthought it a lot, and yeah, but I did find it very frustrating to begin with. But maybe you won't. But have a go at it. Just have fun. Next up, thank you again, Doll. I love you, and I love your music as well. Keep it going. Keep doing it. And can you please, everybody, please go and follow DJ Soul, because she's awesome. Millsy said, my first ever track only had 4 channels, and I bet it sounded awesome. But you don't need loads. But if we've got loads, we'll just use them, won't we? My first one that I made was at at college. We made it on 8-track, that tape. So we only had 8 channels. But that kind of limitation is good. That kind of limitation makes you be more precise, intentional. It makes you more intentional about your choices, instead of just sticking loads of stuff in just because you can. Why is my thing beeping at me? Yeah, I think it can be. There's no. Yeah, Martin, I know, right? Are you on about the new mixer? They've done something to the mixer, haven't they? What was it? Guy told me the other day, and I've not downloaded the new one. I know they've put like a load more mixer channels in, but they've done something so that it works with something to Patcher as well, I think. You can let me know. Yeah. What was it? What did they do? Let's see. Bell update Patcher. What, up to 500 channels? Yeah, this is the issue though, I think, is like it can get stupid. It can get stupid. But if you were doing, maybe the reason why they're doing that is like, you know, if you were making a like music for the moving image, then that might come in very useful. Anyway, next up we have got JLF. Je le feu. Just Love Funny. That's what his name stands for. What do you in the chat think that JLF stands for? Can you put your funny comments in now? I know Richie will. JLF. Jesus loves fish. There we go. He does as well. I bet he did. Weirdo. Right, here we go. Oh, I think we had a foreword as well from this. So you wanted us to tell you something, didn't we? You said it was a little bit weird. Just love like friend. Jean-Luc Frywalker. Josh loves filth. Juicy lesbian frogs wins. I love that. Just love fun. Just listen, friends. Great. Just put it in the chat, Josh. please, what you want us to help you with. I know you said this is a bit of a different one for you. So you wanted to know that maybe what label to sorry, I'm just getting distracted by your JLF anagrams or whatever they're called. Here we go.
Oh, damn. A Sea Biscuit. Oh, damn. Oh, damn. Oh, damn. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT what Sea Biscuit is. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT. Oh, damn. Oh, damn. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT what Sea Biscuit is. Oh, damn. Oh, damn. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT what Sea Biscuit is. A Sea Biscuit is a racehorse. Racehorse. A Sea Biscuit is a racehorse.
There we go, JLF and a Sea Biscuit. I love the story behind this. So in the chat there, hello Emmy. Emmy's explained why this track came about or how this track came about. So it was a voice note in a group chat. And Josh heard it and wanted to sample it. So one friend is a new love interest and said she wanted to ride him like a Sea Biscuit. The other friend didn't know what a Sea Biscuit was. I don't know what a Sea Biscuit is. Is it a seahorse? Oh, look. What is a see this. What? I don't understand. I'm even more confused now. How can you ride a Sea Biscuit? Do you know what they look like? Can I share my screen? Look. Those are Sea Biscuits. What the fuck? You've got some weird friends. There's a fat Sea Biscuit here. Look at that. Whoa. We've got a crustacean, non-musculine invertebrate Sea Biscuit here. Oh, we've got a load of them. Oh, look at them. Whoa. Ooh. No, I don't understand. No, the horse was called Sea Biscuit. What? What? I don't understand. Yeah, my browser history will come back to bite me, of course. What? It's a horse called Sea Biscuit. A jockey rides a horse. Oh, that's disgusting. Honestly. Well, I think it's probably better than like the bestiality of, you know, wanting to have sex with sea creatures. So, but it's still bestiality because it's still a horse. Quite frankly. Am I overthinking this? I'm going now. Bye. Okay, I'm back. But I'm very disappointed. This song's cursed. Okay, so back to the idea is great. Like, let's discuss the tune. Yes. So this is the great thing about voice notes is someone can say something like seemingly quite innocent and yeah, like you said, no one is safe. But I love that. I love the fact that you can make a tune. I've made tunes out of people's voice notes before. I think it's a great idea. But I also love the fact that this is open to interpretation. So the fact that I found out what the real reason was even more like confusing than me just making it up. Oh yeah, Sea Biscuits. Yeah, of course. But yeah, I love this story, the backstory of it. It's awesome. The track itself, the track sounds really well put together. And I like it when you do weird things like this. Like you did a Hock Tour one, didn't you? You've done a few weird ones. And maybe this is like the best way for us to do something that's kind of like, I don't like saying this anymore because people just say this without really meaning anything by it, but thinking outside the box or just doing something other than using samples from Splice, using samples from the same sample packs or whatever. It's really important to try and put something of yourself into a Sea Biscuit. In quite the same way that you must always put something of yourself into your music. So if you're not a singer, then this is probably the way that we will, put something. I need to stop saying put something of ourselves in something. Because Richie, help. Oh, God. It's going on YouTube. So sorry. You know what I mean. So, okay, let's get back to technical stuff to do with the track. Now, Dan Dyson picked up on this as well. I need to stop reading the chat. That's what's putting me off. You lot, it's your fault. I'm going to blame you lot. The bass line on it moved around very quickly. So let's go back to the bass line.
Oh, damn. That's ChatGPT.
So there, one of your notes wasn't hitting right, and it was on the fourth bar. You've got one clashing note where the bass line is clashing with the melody.
That's ChatGPT.
1, 2, 3, 4. So on that fourth one, the first beat of it is where it is. So 1. There's one note in that is not correct, and it stuck out. That's like, if things aren't sticking out to me, I'm assuming that it's like if it doesn't, so the best way for me to say it, when it sticks out to me, then I'll mention it as being something that needs to be technically corrected. It's just that one note. Yeah. Martin said it's a semitone off. Yeah, it'll just need won't take long to get that fixed. But it will make a lot of difference to the flow of it. And the other thing was the bass line itself, it does move around a lot. I don't know if that's a problem though, because it kind of suits the weirdness of it.
I'm going to ChatGPT what Sea Biscuit is.
But you've got a lot of leading notes in this bass line, and that's the problem, I think, is you've got a lot of bridge notes in between the notes that go in the scale of whatever scale you're in. And so because of that, you'll have to be thoughtful of that with your melodies over the top. Yeah, I like the movement. But that if you want to keep that movement in the bass line, then the melody will need to mirror it. Not completely on every single note, but meaning it will have to mirror everything and be in a harmonic of that key of the bass line progression. Easy, simple fix. Sometimes talking about it can be just like more difficult than actually doing it. But I liked it. I liked it a lot. I think, I don't know what label's going to have this, though. I think the clash is from the melody, not the bass. Yep, completely. Because I only hear it. Well, it depends what you want to keep. You just got to make a decision. You want to keep the bass line because that's the most important part. And that is giving the character. That top line, that melody can easily be changed to another note when it's clashing on that bass line. So yeah, I agree. But I liked it. It might be a self-release though, this one. But this is the thing, right? It could be. I have no idea either. It could be one of those weird TikTok things that just blow up. It could, though. This is the thing. Stranger things have happened. Good luck. with getting it signed. Yeah, I like it because it's different as well. Yeah. You're a very special person, you are, Josh. You really are. And I love you for it. Can you all do me a solid, please? Risk it for a Sea Biscuit. Imagine that going on the sex offenders registry. What did you do? Oh, you fucked a Sea Biscuit. You what? Get out. Oh dear. I don't even think that's possible anyway. Let me just have a quick look again at my Sea Biscuits. Sea Biscuit porn. Sea Biscuit. I bet there is. I'm not going to put porn in, don't worry. Oh, now horses are coming up. So sorry. This is even more confusing now. Look. How old is this horse? So not only is it a horse, it's also necrophilia now because it's dead. It's a dead horse. I've never even heard of it. Is it like Black Beauty or something? Oh my God, no. Oh, I'm going to bed. The worst day ever. This is the worst day ever. Oh, fuck. I've never heard of that horse before. Never heard of it. Jesus. Was it like a Grand National thing or something? Now, why am I still looking at pictures of... Why am I still looking at pictures of Sea Biscuits? Oh my God. You're not going to play the next one I say is silly. I am. I absolutely am. Definitely. I live for these moments. I think it's hilarious. Oh, thank you for continuing to inspire me, JLF. I love you very much. Why are you in hospital, Martin? The phrase ride him like Sea Biscuit means to ride a horse. Oh, it's a saying. Or any person, thing aggressively and with considerable force is reference to the legendary racehorse Sea Biscuit, who is known for his intense competitive spirit and remarkable speed. The saying implies a powerful and forceful style of riding, often associated with underdogs who rise above expectations. Aww. 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 I'm all out of reactions now. I don't want to get cancelled. Oh, well, Martin, please get better. Gallstones are very, very painful. I've heard. I've not had one, but I'm sending you loads of love. We've got your song on today, haven't we? Yeah. Yeah, we've got your song on. We'll put yours on next then to cheer you up. Let's have a palate cleanser. Thank you, Josh. And everyone, please make sure you go and follow JLF over on SoundCloud. Thank you. And thank you, Emmy, as well. Red Rum, yes. I remember Red Rum. There we go. There's another horse called Amber Gambler as well. I don't know if it's still on the scene or whatever, but there was one called Amber Gambler. And my dad always used to put money on it. But I've never heard of Sea Biscuit. See you later, Martin. Love you. Yay, we've cheered you up. Yay. Okay. Martin is next. Martin Easten. And this track's called Euphonia. There we go. After all of our silly nonsense. And then we get a track like that on the show. Absolutely amazing. Euphonia by Martin Easten. I find that, I know it's difficult to, well, you can't really call anything perfect, but that was perfection. Awesome. So nice. I really liked the crescendo, your little trauma strings leading back into the drop. It was a bit too sensible, wasn't it, JLF? Yeah. We need more horse facts. Really lovely melody, lovely progression, very lush sounding leads in there, great textures, a lot of depth to it, great mix down. Was it called Equestrian? Yeah. So good. And yeah, I mean, there's been a few tracks that you've sent in now, and I always know they're going to be good when you send them in. And I hope you feel better soon. It's no fun being in hospital. Are you having an operation or something? Guys, please make sure you're following Martin Easten as well, please. Thank you. You having an operation? Or are you just in there because it was hurting or something? They're going to make you... How do you get rid of gallstones? It's not like a kidney stone, is it? Not yet, but will do. You're having an operation, but you're not yet. How did it come about that you were in hospital then? Were you rushed in or something, or was this planned? Temperature up, got infection, got ya. Wow. How did you get galls? They're gonna take the gallbladder out. Okay. Apparently you don't really need them. You just maybe need to be a little bit more careful about the stuff that you eat. But yeah, I remember when I went in for a suspected gallbladder issue a couple of years ago, and they said it's not a big deal. But yeah, I'm not gonna give you any health advice on that kind of thing, but yeah, apparently apparently you don't need it, but if you can, save it, then sometimes that can be good too. But you're in the right place, and if it's causing you a lot of upset, and because it's not just having the pain, it's then the medication that we have to use in order to curb the pain in order to feel okay. That can then cause more issues as well. So, but yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. I just want you to let them give you all the best drugs. When I went in for my kidney operation recently, thank you for the new follow. When I went in for my kidney operation, when I came round, they were really good. They let me have morphine. What's it called? It's like a drink thing that they gave me. Richie's going in for his hernia as well. Yay! That's come around quickly, Richie. You'll be fine. Look, if I'm okay, you guys will be okay. Yeah, that's really good that they're getting it sorted so quickly, Richie. I'm really happy to hear that. Awesome. But yeah, thank you for sending it in, mate, and I really do hope that you feel better soon. Yeah, that's it, Oromorph. That's what they gave me. It was awesome, that. Not so awesome driving home. Sol, whose track we played earlier, she took me home, and I had a load of Oromorph before I left. I was like, I'm cashing out of here, but with a load of drugs in me. So like, and they went, here you go, shut up. Gave me some more Oromorph. And then I nearly was sick in the car on the way back because it wasn't fun, like moving around and stuff on it. When you're like static, it's fine. But yeah, it was fun. You're welcome, Martin. We love you. Thank you for sending it in. Next up, we've got Inaphect. Inaphect have been on a number of times on the show now. Inaphect is a father and son duo. And they've got a new track called Broken. And we're going to listen to it now.
Escape it. Your voice is stuck in my
There we go. That is Inaphect and Broken. Really, really nice. Some very nice ideas in this. Very well put together. Sonically. Arrangement is arrangement is like a taste thing anyway, to a degree. But it also could be, arrangement is really important to tell the story of the track and keep the pacing and keep the listener interested. So the tracks seem to kind of like repeat itself towards the end and nothing new was being added. So it sounded like we've already heard this bit kind of thing. It could have had like another part to it, maybe, or it could even be whittled down a little bit. So maybe some arrangement tweaking could be helpful, especially with getting it signed. But I don't know if this version that you've sent me was like an original or like not an extended mix, basically for DJs or whatever. If it's not, it's still quite long at 6 minutes 43. So for this style of music, I think you could easily whittle this down to be around maybe 4 or 5 minutes, and make it just sound so that every single part is, because there were a number of moments in here, and it's about capitalizing on those moments, and that will be down to the arrangement. I felt like the re-space it's very low, and it is a work in progress. It's so nearly there, though. It's so nearly there. That bass line isn't working over the melody and the vocal, in my opinion. It sounded out of key, which can sometimes be an effect of it being so low in volume. It can make it sound like it's off, even though it looks like it's the right key in the MIDI pattern, for example, in the piano roll. But the reason why I think that it's out of key is because when you have the little flicks up, and I can hear it, it sounds like it's not on a harmonic of the root note. So that bass line is doing all of the work at the moment, that Reese bass line. I like the idea of the bass line, but I think it could be lower so that we can feel it, not really hear it. And then you could add a more mid sounding bass, something that's a bit higher, so that it will stop you from feeling like you need to have this lower subby bass higher in volume in the mix. I'll explain where I mean as well. So we've got at 4 minutes 56, there was some like cutting in and outs of the bass line, which just sounded a bit jolty. So it is here. So that bit there, it didn't sound like it was on the right root note harmonic. And it also sounded like, I know what you're trying to do there, but doing it with that Reese bass probably isn't the right sound to do it with. So maybe by incorporating a mid or maybe a more buzzy bass, mid bass, will allow you to be able to do something with that area, with that particular part. But I think trying to do it all with that same re-space sound is just it's not using it optimally. Is that a word? I think so. Really nice counter melodies. Gorgeous vocal. Optimally, yes, it is now. Really nice counter melodies in there. Lovely sound choices. And a really nice vocal. And it was very well put together, very well balanced. Just sort that respace out. I'll go and have another listen to it. Yeah. But really good. Very proud. And thank you for continuing to send your stuff in. It's so nice to see your journey, both of you. Yay! So if you guys can go and follow Inaphect, please. Father and son duo. I wish my kids would make music with me, but they're just not interested. Maybe if I started making drill, they'd start drill with like overly, what was it that they like? Anything with like drug references in and like all the bad stuff, basically. If I just like said really like terrible stuff in a track and rapped over it, like they'd love that. Why can't we just make a rap song about how much I love cheese? Come on. You don't need to know, Cyber Steve, you don't need to know what drill is. It doesn't matter. Protect your ears. No, I don't mean that. Drill's lovely. I love all music, but I like more music than others sometimes. I just have a bit of a problem with some of the content in some of these songs that my children are being exposed to right now. But that's because I'm old now and I'm boring and I don't get it. And I'm okay with that. Give me my drug music from the 90s any day of the week. Ah! Such a contradiction, aren't I? Next up, we have got Millsy. Millsy, who is in the chat right now. And Millsy is you've sent this in because you're at college at the moment, aren't you? And this is track 3 of your college project. And it's part of a concept EP that you're creating. I remember doing something similar at uni and at college. So we're very, very happy to have you here and to give you some helpful input. Some what is it? What do we do on this show? What's the words? Oh, my brain is not doing the thing it should be doing today. Feedback. Talk shit, yeah. That's literally what I do. I'm trying to be helpful, but I know most of it is just like... Constructive feedback, that's what I was going to say. I kept thinking creative. I'm like, no, it's not creative. Constructive... feedback, constructive critique. So this is a part of your EP at college that you're doing, and is it the 5th of May you told me that the whole module thing's going to be in, so you're going to use this as part of your project, I guess, for the feedback aspect of it. So I'm going to try not to swear or say anything weird. 16th of May, is it? Okay, cool. So yeah, so here we go. If you guys can please, in the chat, give some advice, some like proper advice, because she's gonna be marked on this. So please be sensible. Is it are you a he or a she? It says Nick. Is it are you a boy or a girl, or are they them? A he. Sorry. Oh, I'm disappointed now. Oh, not a boy. Not a smelly boy. Oh my God. Naomi said, who's Naomi? I know a few Naomis. You'll have to like whittle it down for me. Nikki J. I've obviously spoke to you before. I'm sorry, I'm just so bad with names and people and stuff. Honestly, it's a real thing. I have a proper problem with remembering anything. I don't even know who I am most of the time. But shout out to Naomi as well. And we are going to LTP. I don't know what that means. It is my ADHD, yeah. It gets me in trouble all the time because like people are like, how can you not know? And I'm like, I'm so sorry. We played Evolution event in the Isle of Wight. I think I remember that, but I'm not sure. Honestly, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Isle of Wight, Evolution. I have been to the Isle of Wight. I have DJ'd there. So as long as, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hello to Naomi there as well. Yeah, I know you'll understand. Because I never get pissed off when people don't remember who I am as well. It's like, yeah. Hello, Madam Naughty. But thank you. Please forgive me for that. And I will not call you a she again. I will call you he. But in my mind, you're a girl, all right? Millsy, and this is interstellally. Now, that's not a word, but I like it. Hi, Grazer. How you doing? Honestly, today is just a car crash. I'm so sorry, but also it's great content. Hello, Control 4. Okay, so have I got it downloaded? Yes, I have. Okay, here we go. So this is interstellaly. Let's give some helpful constructive feedback because this is going on his project for college.
However, they do not fly in the same manner that the rocket ships fly or blast off from Earth as we know it. fly or blast off from Earth as we know it.
There we go, interstellally, which is a made-up word which I like a lot. Interstellally by Millsy, Nick. Really great work. And I think that this will be a credit to you in your project for college. Everything sounded balanced. I know you mentioned there that you thought that there was part of it that went on a bit too long, maybe, but I also didn't feel like that. Usually if something's going on a bit too long, I'll start to be like, oh God, I didn't get that feeling with this track at all. Hello, Marty. But you could, who was it who said something quite sensible? Martin Easten, maybe add some chops of the vocal and reverse reverb trick to vary it a bit. Definitely. Or blur the vocal. You could try a blur. I love doing blurs of vocals and then sitting them in the background as like a texture, adding a bit of sidechain to them, messing around with them. So the rule of thumb with arrangement in terms of dance orientated music or 4/4 music is to have a change every 16 bars. So if you're changing something, and what I mean by that is taking something away, granular would be cool, taking something away or adding something every 16 bars, or maybe sometimes every 8, depends on, or the very most every 32. But usually you'd find that things would be coming out and being added around 16 bars. And I feel like that's what you were doing. But also because you wanted it to capture the thought of space. Space is quite big, isn't it? Captain Obvious today. Space, yeah, it's quite big, isn't it? It gave me that feeling. It's a bit bigger than other stuff, I'd say. Space is real. Space is definitely real. But anyone that thinks that space isn't real, you are entitled to your opinion on it. 100%. Go for it. Because if that's what you think, then you are right. What I think makes me right. For me, everyone's right for your own personal universe. I don't think this song went on I don't think it went on like too much at all. I think the point of what I was saying there about space is wide and vast, and that means that this song needs room to make changes. It doesn't need to be like very formal changes like dance music does. In fact, it probably wants to waver a bit from that and not keep to this rule of every 16 bars something needs to come in and something needs to be taken away, because space isn't like that. You could even add in some effects and stuff that were coming in at weird times, you know, that kind of thing. But I honestly, I think that might even overcook it. It's just me spitballing. But I loved the sounds that you were using for this. They were very stylistic of space kind of sounds, not far away from the kind of ambient stuff that I listen to on YouTube at night as well. Yeah, so Martin said that it's almost ambient dance. Yeah, so there's nothing I would change about that at all. I like it. And I also like the vocal, the speaky vocal thing, because it reminded me of like what you would hear on the Apollo missions and stuff if you were watching the television in the 60s or whenever it was, that kind of thing. So it all fits into that narrative of space. So yeah, really, really well thought out. And yeah, you hit the nail on the head. So the reason why they get us to do these kinds of things at college is so that we learn how to express a storyline, a emotion, whatever it is, through music. And it is quite difficult to do. It's quite difficult to do well. But you've definitely, there was no, you just had a bit of white noise. But it was amazing. Amazing. Yeah, well, you should continue to do it. And isn't that it's a great way to get started with a project, isn't it? To have an idea, have a storyline, have a thought in your mind of what you're actually trying to do. I made one of my favourite tracks, and it was called 13. And I made the track with the title already in my mind. I made it on a live stream. And so the live stream, I'm going to make a track called 13, and it's going to be based around witches. I think it was around Halloween. So I had these kind of like points of reference in my mind, and it really helped. It really helped for me to make better choices with the sounds that I was going to use, and more expression in that kind of area of like spookiness and stuff. But without that, like, what are you going to do? You just go into making a project with kind of like, well, infinite amount of ideas. But then what happens is you just end up flitting between one idea and another. And especially if you have ADHD, you end up like changing the idea so many times, and then it can get quite confusing. And you end up with nothing, really. Well, you don't end up with nothing, but it just ends up maybe just being another project that doesn't get finished. But if we have like if if we set ourselves some limits, some limitations, but good limitations, or some directives, so that it keeps us it keeps us going in one kind of general direction, then it helps a lot, I find. So there you go. That's where you got to write down what you plan to do each day on the project. Yeah, you could write it down. That's a really good idea, actually. I write every single day. I write about 2 or 3 pages worth of... There's my pad. I think it's upstairs at the moment, but I think that it's really useful to have something to refer back to. So yeah, definitely write it down. Awesome. Sparx, I heard that you... I didn't hear you. I saw that you came in the chat there. And we have got your track next. So, can everyone go and follow Nick, please, Millsy? I have to do a weekly action plan for this. Have had to research it all. You've done amazing. You've done amazing. And you should be really proud of yourself. Because this is the reason why they get us to do these kinds of things at college is because it opens you up to sync library work. You know, you could start making music for the moving image. You could start making music for adverts. You could get paid 40 grand for 7 seconds of music that you've made for something. That's completely possible. So thinking outside of the box, I've said it again, in terms of how you're going to become a music producer is really helpful. Because it's not just about your music as the artist that you want to be known as. Sometimes it can be better just to see that as a side project. How are you going to make a living from this? How is this going to be sustainable? How are you going to get yourself known? Because you might feel that in some parts of the industry it's quite gate kept. There's a lot of gatekeeping. So you'd have to spend like 5 years trying to get on a fucking record label that you really wanted to get on. But then what? Oh, I'll make my own record label. Okay, that will take you so far. But think about different infrastructures, different parts of the industry which need music outside of the dance music world or hard house or whatever your favourite genre is. And look at things from a wider point of view. So yeah. Hello, Wayne. Hi, Mr. Mister. Anything is possible. Exactly. You've got to put yourself in place. I was talking to JLF about luck at the weekend when I had my students over for the student showcase, which went amazing. But we were talking about, I think we were talking about my career as well. And I was lucky. I was lucky to get picked up by a big record label when I did. And certain artists who you see touring and, you know, getting their tracks out on these big labels, blah, 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 a lot of that's down to luck. So what you need to do is put yourself in lucky places. Put yourself in lucky places. Go to these events that they put on, like ADE, the Brighton Music Conference. Network with other like-minded people beyond things like this. You've got to put yourself out there. You've got to put yourself in lucky places. Try going to different the gaming world. Get into the gaming world. Go to one of their conventions with a USB of your music, perhaps, or sometimes people are a bit funny about USBs, so maybe look at how to get like a QR code of your music or whatever, so people can go and find it, or even just a business card, just anything that you can. Red Missy says, Amber, were you a DJ first and a producer? A DJ first, then I was a producer, but I had someone else engineer my music for me for a long time, and then I became an audio engineer, music producer myself later on, probably about 10 years ago. So in that order, yeah, DJ, and then had music out that other people made with me there, and now I do my own. I'm a big believer in manifesting what you want as well, Millsy. Absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, I've got a good feeling about you, and well done on this wonderful piece of music. You're awesome. Next, we've got Sparx and a track called Devil. Yay! You're welcome, mate. There we go. That is Sparx and Devil. Great use of a well-known vocal. It works so well with Makina. Loved it. But yeah, I agree with two of the other people in the chat about that vocal. The vocal needs to be higher. The way that I mix my vocals down now is it kind of goes against what I was originally taught or originally got best results from, which is my kick's the loudest element and my bass is pretty much literally tickling just under -6 dB. So my kick's at -6 and my bass is waving a little bit around -6 dB. Never above it, but just below. Very, 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 very close together. But when it comes to having a vocal in a track, the vocal sometimes can allow itself to be pretty much that loud. So, which is, I think it depends which genre of music you have come from, that becomes a learning curve in itself. So, the point of a vocal is you want to be able to hear what is being said in the vocal. Otherwise, what is the point of having the vocal in there? We know what it says. I'm the DE, I'm the DEV, I'm the DEVIL, the devil, because we know that that's the song and we've heard it all. We've all heard it. But if you hadn't have ever heard it, you'd be like, what's it saying? And I want to hear it more because I love that vocal. So it was like, ugh! It's because our brains are wired to distinguish human voice as prime. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. So, yeah, just bring that up. I like my basses to be balanced, like when they're in phase with the kick and it tickles the brain. Yes, well, your kick and bass is amazing. I love your tracks. I love that kick and bass relationship, and I love your outros as well. You did the same thing as you did last time, where the outro was on a different key and a different note, and I liked it. I think it sounded awesome, and I loved the all-important key change, which is such a signature thing with Makina. I've become to see. So yeah, and the kick as well is lovely. A lovely kick. So yeah, just bring up that vocal a bit more. I like the tracks made with pure rage comment. Yeah. I remember I went out with someone years ago who used to play hardcore, and he used to play hardcore all the time on his turntables. And apparently his dad came in one day, he was like, this fucking music just makes me want to go out and stab somebody. Ah! But it does, you know, like if you're not used to listening to hardcore or like really high tempo music, that's literally what it must sound like to a normal person or like an older person. Like, what the fuck is that? And it would, I bet you it does invoke anger and violence out of some people. For me, I'm just like, yeah, let's do it. But yeah. Obviously, never go out and stab anybody, please. No matter what music you're listening to, that's never a good idea. But yeah,